want to switch gears now a little bit to talk about an issue that is particularly, I know, important to our audience and that we hear coming up a lot, which is voter ID laws. And that's
Yeah.
also an issue that varies state by state and it really affects people's ability to vote. And as you know, I'm sure right now House Republicans are pushing legislation called the SAVE Act, which, as they say, aims to target illegal voting by non-American citizens, which I should note is already incredibly rare. So I'm also wondering, when you're looking at this rhetoric coming out, well, first off, what is When We All Vote stance on voter ID requirements, proof of citizenship, and this legislation overall?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I just want to talk more broadly about voter suppression and some of these making it harder, making it scarier, making it more stressful, making it take longer, keep adding more steps. None of that is a coincidence. It's voter suppression. And so these are targeted measures to try and deter specific groups from voting. If they're eligible to do so, you should not be deterred or prohibited from voting. And that is, but it's targeted. It's targeted, and it is, and it's insidious. So one of the things that we try and make sure that folks know is if you are eligible to vote, here's the process, here's how you can do it, and here's how how to take action. I know I'll get back to voter ID laws, but I also want to talk, there's people here about voter purges in states across the country. When you're hearing that your state might be doing voter purges or has done voter purges, all that means, what I hear is for you right now is just check your voter registration and encourage everyone you know to do it. Because what that will do is make sure that if you are purged, if you were not registered, you can catch that now and early. Take action. You have that control. You have that power. Your voice matters. You were invited into this process. And honestly, that these efforts are really an indication of how important your voice is because they don't want you to vote. So, right. So this is that's just part one. On voter ID laws in particular, we don't believe that it should be harder for those who are eligible to vote, and it shouldn't be scarier or more stressful. So whether you're, someone who's eligible to vote who may be in a specific group that's targeted by these voter ID laws, or if you're a young person who now cannot use their college ID, their student ID to register to vote, a number of states like Ohio, Idaho, Iowa are saying that if you're a student on campus, you can't use your student ID to register to vote. Then you have to take an additional step. And for those students, for example, that can be really hard. You're 18 years old, you go away to college, you're, registering, you're deciding that you want to register to vote in the state where you're going to school instead of at home. You want to go through that process. Then you also have to figure out how to get a driver's license or a state ID on top of having to learn how to register to vote, right? So it's all of these barriers being put in place. So to answer your question simply, we believe that it should be easy to vote, it should be accessible, and it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be deterred from having the opportunity to vote.